to the One Man's Opinion on Sports, the Bryan Pasquale. I'm his guest today, Ryan Garazunas. You know, of course, I'm from the Two Dumb Yinzers. Good morning, everybody. Brian's getting set up on his end, so I'm kind of leading the way in today. But guys, make no mistakes. This is Bryan Pasquale's One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale every Sunday morning pregame show right here on YouTube. I can't wait to talk to Bryan to get his insight on what he thinks about the game today. I know that things are looking good here on my side, Bryan. It's all popping up. Everything is looking good. But once we do get started, guys, we will be talking in depth about this game today, about what the Steelers got to do to get ready for these Philadelphia Eagles to try to get a win for the first time since, like, the 10th century or whenever it was. It was a long time ago. But for me, this feels like, in all honesty, when a kicker gets cursed and they go on and on and on and on and on about when kickers don't miss. The kickers are so good, they don't miss. They haven't missed in this length for some time, and they finally miss. Maybe that's what all this talk is with the Philadelphia Eagles, guys, and the not being able to win for the Pittsburgh Steelers in Philadelphia since 1965. But I get this feeling. I get a feeling that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be victorious today. I think we go 11-3. I think we make the playoffs. I think a bunch of stuff happens. Call me optimistic. Call me an idiot. Call me whatever you want. But nonetheless, here I am right here.
As long as you're a girl, just don't call him.
As long as I'm a girl, as long as you're a girl, just don't call me. But nonetheless, here I am with Bryan Pasquale, my man, my main man. We do a lot of work in this field, and we have a lot to talk about today. Bryan, are you caught up on your end, brother?
I totally lost my thumbnail, so I think we're just going to go without it. I went to click on it and bring it over to the thumbnail thing. Okay. And now it's completely gone. It's just a little picture of like the Steelers logo and the Eagles logo, and that's it. So we're gonna go without it.
All right. I think you can always go back in and add it in later if you need to.
Yeah, maybe after the show.
All right. But how you doing today, bro?
Oh man, so much to talk about. We're definitely going to get into the Eagles matchup and I guess who the Eagles have. We know they have Barkley. We know they have Hurts. We know they have A.J. Brown. We know they have a great defense. You're very optimistic, and you know me. We play this little skit on like the quarter after 5 every Wednesday. Yes. Good cop, bad cop, and I have Ryan play the good cop, and I play the bad cop typically because I'm usually negative Nancy. I don't see anything different here with the Eagles matchup. I'm probably going to be playing the devil's advocate here for the Steelers fans, and Ryan will be playing the good cop.
I'm insanely optimistic about this, as a matter of fact. I think that we're going to win this game. I think that we're going to change the tide. The Philadelphia Eagles, guys, is, they're a lot like we are, Bryan. They're the team that's winning games by what they need to win games by. They go out and they only beat Carolina Panthers last week by a couple points. Granted, Carolina is playing a lot better football at the time. However, these guys aren't invincible. A team that I'm really scared of, a team that really feels like they're going on all cylinders, is also from the NFC, the Detroit Lions. This team I don't feel is as good as the Lions. Are they good? They're real good, yes. They were just a year and a half removed from the Super Bowl. You still have a lot of that team there in place. But at the end of the day, you know what? With Russell Wilson under center, Bryan, this is an entirely different team than we've had here for the past 5 years. Say what you want about the guy, but he is producing, he's putting up numbers, and he's finding ways to get wins. If it wasn't for the snow globe game on a Thursday night a couple weeks ago up in Cleveland, I'm convinced that Russell Wilson would still be undefeated at this point. Is snow an excuse? No, it's not an excuse. It just is what it is. But everything I've seen from him, this guy, he knows how to win. He finds ways to win. And you know what? He gets 52 other people to rally around him and believe that. And this team, I think, is sitting in prime position for a playoff run. Certainly better, Bryan, than they were last year going into the playoffs with that trio of quarterbacks. I think that we could certainly stay in a game now that I think that we would have had no chance in last year.
I agree, and not just offensively, because, even when we had Justin Fields out there, it still felt like we had how many times did you bring up, like, Kenny Pickett did better than this?
Yeah. Right.
And now with Russell Wilson rejuvenated, I was watching something last night that was saying, he was getting benched in Denver. Like, what
Yeah,
was Denver doing to this guy's career? Because
right.
he looks, at least worst case scenario, a top 12 quarterback in the league right now. Worst case.
I agree. Or, Brian, I'd even debate. I'd even debate that there's 11 people that is playing better football than he is right now at that quarterback position in the NFL. I really would. I wouldn't hesitate to put him in the top 10. I mean, you think about it, you're like, okay, well, this guy's doing really well. Joe Burrow's really throwing the ball around the field well. But at the end of the day, when you look at the production and the position of the guy in the team right now, I don't know if there's many quarterbacks you can put above Russell Wilson. Of course, there are a couple we could obviously think of off the top of our head. But at the end of the day, to even put him at 12, considering his production and considering where this team sits at this time, I think is a stretch. I think that we're playing as good as anybody except for Detroit and probably Buffalo. And you know what? That puts us right in the thick of things.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat this week, and I don't know if did Russell have a fumble. He had a fumble, did he not, at a key moment one time? I don't know. I don't know if this fumble is included in that, and that was the one thing I didn't get a chance to research. But Russell Wilson is so far this year a turnover machine at a rate of 1.4%, which is the lowest out of any quarterback in the league. That's a recipe that Mike Tomlin loves. He wants, and with the defense and how they've been opportunistic, especially in the fourth quarter on the interceptions to shut down games, that's all Mike Tomlin wants. Go get some scores here. Let's get some field goals there, and don't turn the ball over.
Absolutely, and put in there some spectacular special teams play by your kicker Chris Boswell. I mean, this team, at the end of the day, as I keep saying, this is a good team. You know what I mean? And a lot of people want to sit there and pick and point. But you know what? If you go to any team, you could pick and point with any team. You could go to Kansas City and find issues. You could go anywhere and find issues. At the end of the day, I think that this team belongs. At the end of the day, you don't want to sit here and go, well, your two best teams are going to be in the Super Bowl. You'd like at least for the other 30 teams, to have a chance going into January. So for that reason, I feel that we're just as much in it as anybody else. If it's going to be one of these cut and dry best teams on both sides get in, Detroit's probably going to get there from the NFC, and either Buffalo or Kansas City from the AFC, which I don't want to do. I don't want to think that it's already kind of in place, because we still have, a 4 games left in the regular season. We still have the whole playoffs. So again, at the end of the day, I kind of chalk it up as we are a good team. We fit in the scheme of things. There's probably, again, only a couple of teams I would say that's playing a lot better than we are. And at the end of the day, Brian, we are 10-3. We're 10-3. So, say do what you will. And I know that these next 3 games are going to be a big test, but every test that we've been given so far this year, I think we passed. Okay, you drop a couple games here and there. I think through the course of a game, unless you're the Chiefs, you do drop a trap game here or there during the course of a season, which I think you could identify as the Indianapolis game and the Dallas game. Again, snow globe game. It is what it is. I think that really could have went either way. And if we would have won at the end of the game, they would have something to complain about with the snow. But that's not the case. This team, they played a playoff team in Denver. They played a playoff team in the Chargers. They played a playoff team in Atlanta until last week. They played a playoff game with the Baltimore Ravens, and we do have more wins against 500 teams than anybody else in the league. You got to like that.
Yeah, and I was talking about Russell Wilson's not turning it over. I think he has 3 interceptions. One was like a Hail Mary, and it was essentially a punt. There was I don't know if it was just like a crazy play tip ball type of one. And then he had that really, really bad one in the end zone.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean,
is that all he has all season is just 3?
I believe it's 3.
Wow.
I believe it's 3. And I believe on passes of 20 yards and over, he's like the 4th most efficient. So It's not just like he's dinking and dunking, which is a lot of what he does, but he does have that moon ball.
Now, as far as matchups for this game goes, Brian, I mean, obviously we're down I mean, in my opinion, we were down our number 1 and number 2 receiver. Right. Now, your number 1 gets hurt. Your number 2, we're still trying to figure out if he's going to get playing time. How does this team match up with the Philadelphia Eagles defense? I mean, you can't just go to the run. You can't. The Philadelphia, they'll pack the box, they'll jam the box, and you're not going to be able to run the football. How does this team match up with the Eagles defense? With that being said, in the personnel that we're going to have on the field.
So as odd as this is going to sound, is I believe our offense is going to go how our defense plays. Give me a second here to explain that.
Okay.
Saquon Barkley, best running back right now in the NFL. They need to shut him down, which they've been able to do that to the really good really good running backs. However, they give up 200 yards to like no names. I don't get that.
If I could cut you off real quick and go back to when Saquon played for the Giants, we shut him down then. Now it's the test to see if we could shut him down on a good team. We've shut down good teams with good running backs, and we shut him down on a bad team. That's going to be the real challenge, I think, is shutting him down while he's on a good team.
Well, and the other thing is as well, Jalen Hurts can be made. We can make him look like a fool, I think.
I think so too.
And I think that's going to be very, very key. Make them one-dimensional and rely on Saquon. And if we can shut that down. All right, now what that does for the offense is that makes them stick with a game plan. Tomlin's going to go in there. He's hard-headed. He wants to have a game plan. He probably wants to control the ball, have long, drawn-out drives, even if they end up with a punt or a long field goal, and keep that Eagles offense off the field, keep this game to a 17-20 score versus he doesn't want to get into that run and shoot game like we had against the Bengals, because the Eagles defense is much better than the Bengals defense, although their offense isn't as good, especially at the quarterback position.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're nailing it on the head on every single point. I think that this offense it's different in its own way, and you could always compare. I think it would be safe in its own way to compare somebody like A.J. Brown and the skills of Jamar Chase over in Cincinnati. So it's going to be very similar in that case. It's just, putting a hat on each body. You're going to have guys coming out of the backfield. You're going to have all the different receivers, different looks. Again, they have a nice team. There's no mistake that this team is 11-2. But that's what Tomlin and the guys do during the week, and they prepare and they game plan. And now they have to figure out a way to shut A.J. Brown and the guy on the other side of the ball. It's not going to be easy by any means, Bryan. But at the end of the day, they got to do those things. And and as you said, their defense is way better than what Cincinnati's defense was. So you don't want to get into that shootout, because in a game where you score 44 against the Bengals, you might only score 29, 30 points against this Eagles defense, and I think that would make the difference. But I mean, would you agree this could probably be the toughest challenge of the year? I mean, obviously we played the Ravens already, but I think this could be a similar game to a Ravens-Steeler game without all the grit. I think it's going to be, and there's animosity between the two cities, but at the end of the day, I think this is going to be a Ravens-Steeler game without the, without all the grit and the hustle and the push and the fighting and the all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be a very similar game. And Bryan, there's no other team built to win those kind of games better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what the Ravens built their whole franchise around, as being like the Pittsburgh Steelers to compete in the division. I think we match up good with this Philadelphia team, opposed to when you play a Buffalo, where we don't really match up well. We're built to win the AFC North. Then you go and play with these teams that they kind of run and shoot. That's where we run into problems, obviously, in the playoffs for the last several years. You can see that as being apparent. But I think that this is a knockdown fight kind of game, like Baltimore is, just without all the grit.
I agree. And, we talked about, 1965? The Steelers have not gone into Philadelphia and won a game since then. But Russell Wilson is undefeated against the Eagles in Philadelphia.
Exactly. Say what you will. I mean, if he wasn't on this team, you might start thinking to yourself, oh, yeah, let's mark this L up. But at the end of the day, it's like, let's see what this guy can do. Let's see what our captain can do. And as you were saying, whatever happened to the situation down in Denver, it obviously was a personal issue. For whatever reason, I don't know what the issues were and what the personal issues were, but obviously by seeing what Russell Wilson is doing here compared to what he did out there, it's just night and day. So I have a lot of faith in him. I think he's ready to play, and I think he wants to win for himself, for this city, for this football team, and he's got that the fountain of youth thing going on, Bryan, and I think he's really, really fighting, and you got to like a guy like that.
Yeah, and I did ask you before we got into the live today to bring up the injury report. Are we able to do that? One of the guys we're getting back, we haven't had forever, to help stop the run was Montravius Adams.
Absolutely. This is going to be big, especially facing a guy like Saquon Barkley. You're going to need all the help that you can get. George Pickens, of course, is out with his hammy. Deshaun Elliott also is out with his hammy, and also did not play during the week. I believe he is out or did not practice during the week with his groin was Larry Ogunjobi. But again, you get that back with Montravius Adams. You'd like to have the extra body, but I don't think that Ogunjobi will be playing. Limited practice this week was Calvin Anderson on the line, and then also full practice this week, as you mentioned, was the defensive tackle Montravius Adams, which I think is big. Again, it's kind of unfortunate. You'd still like to have your, a healthy Ogunjobi, just for numbers, for bodies, for depth, and things like that. But it is going to be nice seeing Montravius back out there, and he's going to want to make some big plays because it's been a while since he's been back and out on that field.
Yeah, well, we're going to need all hands on deck. Saquon Barkley is averaging 125 yards a game this late in the season. He has a chance to break the single season rushing record set back in the 80s by, what was it, Dickerson?
Is that who it is, Eric Dickerson?
I believe so. I believe he busted up O.J. Simpson's record.
Okay.
I told you the story. So my daughter goes to WVU, and I'm down there taking her back after Thanksgiving, and everybody has to move in after noon and before whatever time on Sunday, and classes are on that Monday. So I'm moving her in, and I see this guy with a Bills jersey on, and it says Simpson on the back. So I text my buddy Dan. I'm like, Dan, what number was O.J. Simpson? And I guess it was 32
yes.
or 22. So I think 32, yeah.
32.
And I'm like, oh my God, what guy in 2024 is wearing an O.J. Simpson throwback jersey? I'm going to stay on the other side of the elevator as him.
Yeah, don't let your daughter date that guy. No, that is hilarious. I think that's funny. Obviously, O.J. wasn't great. What he did off the field is obviously different, but yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley, Bryan, is going to be a tall task. There's no two ways about it. As I said, we were able to stop him with the Giants, and we were able to stop a bunch of other good running backs. But you add those two things together, you put Saquon Barkley on that Philadelphia offense behind that line, again, just a year and a half removed from the Super Bowl. You got tons of receivers over there that could certainly open up the offense. But again, I have to keep telling myself, and I keep saying this, we are a good football team. If we weren't 10-3, let's say we were 8-5, just playing really good football, I would be somewhat skeptical. But again, here we are, 10-3 with just these 4 games left. 10 days from today, after the Chiefs game concludes on Christmas Day, we'll only have 1 game. It's like magic, Bryan. It's like magic. All these games are just going to disappear in a matter of 10 days from today. 10 days or 11 or whatever it is. But 4 o'clock that day, you're going to have 1 game left. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're going to look back and you're going to go, okay, look how we did against the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. So it all starts today. I can't wait. I mean, this is the part of the schedule we all talked about all season long before the season. The schedule was released. Wow, look at these 3 games right here. And I know that we all circled them on our schedule. So it's here. It's today. It's 4:25. It's in Philadelphia. And, these Pittsburgh Steelers, they do what they do. So I think we get the win today, man.
Yeah, and did you see that Patrick Mahomes is already whining about the Christmas Day game?
Yeah. Imagine that.
I just love it. I'm like, heck yeah. Well, let's play on your birthday, Christmas Day, your anniversary, whatever really upsets you. I want to play them.
Yeah, I do too. You know what? I at least want to get this game in against Kansas City to take a look-see, just to see how we fall against them. I want to see how we play against them. I want to see how. Because the big question is, that's the team, that's the champions. This team won 3 Super Bowls or 4 Super Bowls or whatever it was in the last 5 years. You always want to see how you stack up against that team. And if we come out on Christmas and we could, win impressively off, we'll feel really good about what's going on. But again, today, it all starts today with these Eagles, man. This is a really good football team. We have to not go into it with that mindset that we haven't won there. I'm sorry, since the 60s, which is crazy to begin with. But to me, it feels like a lot of that kicker, a lot of the kicker kibosh they put on people. This dude, He has never missed a field goal from this distance. He's 13 for 13 this season. He's unstoppable. The guy can't miss, and the guy goes on and misses the football. It has that feel to me, Brian. I think this is beyond us, and it just might be things going on with the football gods. I like the way this feels. I think the Steelers break the mold today. I really do.
Well, if we think about it, basically, our 11-day future is the Eagles, who were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, right?
That's right.
The Baltimore Ravens were in the AFC Championship last year. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, who've won, I want to say 4 Super Bowls, maybe 6 years or something, beat the Eagles and beat the Ravens. So it only gets like progressively worse. So we've got to start off with a great game today. What time is it? Is it 4:25? Is that what the start is? 4:20. I hate those games. Give me the 1 o'clock games all the time.
It always seems like we play the Eagles at a 4:25. They're never a 1 o'clock home game. The Eagles are never ever 1 o'clock at home. It's always a different time, a different day, a different something. But today's no different. And again, I look at it as this: what team, and maybe Kansas City, because you can look at their schedule and say the same thing. But what team really falls into the category of we're starting a playoff run today? You don't get 3 teams in a row like this without being in the playoffs. Generally, this gives us a good feel. And as I was saying on the Two Dumb Yinzers is, if you lose one of these, you don't go home. You fix, you adjust, you continue to do what it is you do to improve your team from week to week, and you get ready for Baltimore, and then you get ready for Kansas City. But you can look at it as this is a playoff run. These are 3 teams that you're probably going to need to beat 2 of them, perhaps, to even get anywhere in the playoffs. So I really like this. I like the scheduling. A lot of people's bummed. They want to go, 14-3 or whatever. But at the end of the day, you really a run like this is invaluable. It really is, because again, to have this kind of a run. And Brian, listen, a lot of people might say, well, if we lose, aren't we going to lose position in the playoffs? Well, not really. We're 2 games up on the Ravens. We get an opportunity next week to shut them out. Not out of the playoffs entirely, but, out of the division. And I like this. I like this. The other teams that are division winners, I think the Houston Texas is like 2 or 3 games behind us. So if we take an L over these next 3 games, I'm not that concerned. But again, I think this is a blessing in disguise for this football team, as long as it doesn't get in their head and things start to domino effect in the wrong direction. Even if you go in this game and lose and learn something, I think it's positive. If you go into this game and win, even better.
Yeah, I mean, if you go in and you win at Philadelphia, at Baltimore, and then come home and beat the Chiefs, I mean, it goes from, the Steelers being a playoff contender to win a single game to maybe they're the favorites to go to the Super Bowl at that point.
If we win all 3 of these games, there's no doubt in my mind we will be the favorite. It's going to be people talking Detroit and Pittsburgh from here till January.
Right. But the most important game isn't today, even though that's the game in front of them. Mike Tomlin does a good job, because next week's the most important game. You wrap up the division. You're guaranteed the 3 seed at that point, because the Texans aren't very good. You have the potential to get the 2 seed even if you do lose to the Chiefs. But Mike Tomlin's always very good, and this is one of the, I don't think he's as great a coach as everybody says he is, but for one thing, he is always the next game. Yeah. He doesn't look into the future. It's all about the next game, and the next game is here in less than 4 hours.
Yeah,
a little over 4 hours.
I think the matchups slightly benefit the Philadelphia Eagles today, but again, Brian, go back and look at the last 13 games. Again, minus your trap games. Every team has them apparently, except for Kansas City for whatever reason. Look at Baltimore. This is a team that people are saying can go to the Super Bowl. This team could be a Super Bowl champion team. This team could this team can that. Not only do we have the head-to-head, not only are we 2 games better in the division, but they have 5 losses on the season, Brian. A lot of people don't even put that into consideration when you take that number. They're 8-5. They've won only 3 more games than they lost. They lost 5 games this season. 5 games. So again, for people to put them up on a pedestal in the media is one thing. For 2, we know better. We just can't let those kind of things get in our head. Go out and play football the way we have outplayed the Ravens for the last 5 years. Well, we're 9 of the last 10, I think it is, or 8 of the last 9. But again, we'll worry about Baltimore next week, Brian. This Philadelphia team, they are what's right in front of us. I think that a lot of Steeler Nation doesn't quite know what to expect because they know this team is really good. But again, at the end of the day, I think they keep forgetting that their team is really good too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this game favors the Eagles, especially being home.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of weapons.
And we do.
The sad thing, and I would feel a lot better about our situation, is George Pickens. Everybody talks about TJ Watt and how he's, the face of the team has been since pretty much he got here.
Right.
And he's the most important player to the team. They always talk about the record without him, blah, 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 blah. But losing George Pickens, that's the one we've been saying all season. Like, that's the guy we can't lose. And it's not because George Pickens is better than TJ Watt or better than Cam Hayward or better than Russell Wilson. It's because the guys behind him are, they are what they are.
Right. You're right. There's even if, TJ Watt would go down, you'd still say to yourself, you know what, Nick Herbig, he's a playmaker. I feel okay with this. But as we said all season, Brian, we said, you know what, this team doesn't really have a number 2. God forbid something would happen to our number 1 receiver because, what do you do? Now you have a team full of 3s, 4s, and 5s. And that's what we have until somebody comes along and proves themselves. I mean, don't get me wrong. Van Jefferson scored a touchdown last week. Don't get me wrong. Calvin Austin scored a couple touchdowns throughout the course of the season that were damn impressive. Don't get me wrong. Mike Williams, he does his thing. I've seen him make some pretty brilliant plays so far. But at the end of the day, 2 of these guys have to step up and be a 1 and a 2, at least for today. We don't know we don't know what the future of George Pickens is moving forward, but today somebody has to step up to fill those roles. Otherwise, we don't win. So pretty much everything I'm feeling, and I'm being optimistic. It all comes down to one of these receivers has to step up, and I'm hoping it's going to be Mike Williams, and I'm hoping that it's going to be Calvin Austin. But again, if Jefferson wants to step up and make a play, or any of these other guys, they're more than welcome. There's plenty of room for everybody.
I agree with you, but I think there's another receiver that's even more important than the ones you've named.
Okay.
Pat Freiermuth. I know he's a tight end, but what was the contract we gave him? We gave him like $9 bazillion.
Yeah.
He's out of Penn State, so he's completely overrated. Although Saquon Barkley may have something to say about that. But why can't the guy get like 8-10 catches today? I don't understand that. How many times have we seen tight ends just completely destroy us on the other teams? Why can't our tight end just have that game?
At the end of the day, Brian, that's probably going to be exactly what happens. Because here's the thing. What have you noticed about Russell Wilson? Yes, he makes these crazy, beautiful rainbow catches that only could land in his receivers' hands. But the other thing that you recognize about Russell Wilson is his game certainly got shrunk down throughout the course of his career. It's to a lot of outlet passes out of the backfield, a lot of tight end throws, and plays like this. So it isn't like Russell Wilson is going out with his heart set on gunning the ball down the field and getting a lot of yards that way. He's been doing it, the less orthodox way and getting a lot of yards by small chunk plays. And plays like that, again, with a lot of outlets out of the backfield, using the tight ends. And that just kind of seems like it really favors Russell Wilson's game. And at the end of the day, I think that's what it's going to have to come down to win this football game is use your tight ends. And whether it be both Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, you got to get those 2 guys involved. You have to, again, because Pat Freiermuth is a veteran also, Brian. You got to think of it this way as well. In a situation where you need somebody to step up, this veteran that we paid, gave a pretty nice paycheck to, has to step up. But you know what? If Russell Wilson throws him the ball, I'm confident that Pat Freiermuth is going to catch the ball. So I think that is going to be a big part of their offense today.
Now, Ryan, we are about right about the halfway point of the show.
Okay.
So we're going to take a little halftime here.
Okay.
We're going to get back into the Eagles and the Steelers matchup today, but I did want to talk about a little Western PA sports, and that is the University of Pittsburgh women's college volleyball team.
Going back to the semifinals, baby. That's
for
right.
The 4th time. I guess it's over here. 4th time. 4th time in a row.
Yes.
They have yet to get over the hump. Is this their year, Ryan?
I think so. I mean, this team is tough. They're tough. These girls, as you said, that the seniors on this team, they've been here all these years, every year. Uh, you watched the match yesterday, like I did against Kentucky. We got linebackers. These three ladies in the middle of the court are their linebackers, man, and you can't get nothing by them. I love watching them play, and it's so weird because just being more of a football guy, you tend to still, because you don't watch volleyball a lot, you tend to get tense and nervous because you're thinking, oh man, what if this team does this, does that. But at the end of the day, just like the Steelers, Pitt's a very good team. Pitt volleyball is a very good team. They find ways to win. They continue to win. I love watching them, ladies. I love watching them, and I cannot wait because, again, they are back to the semifinals. I think they go all the way this year. Bryan, I'm optimistic about all my Pittsburgh teams right now, but talk to me in April, and we'll see if that still holds up.
Yes, the sophomore Babcock. She's 6'4". I think she has no fat. She's built like a brick house. I mean,
I like her.
She hits the ball harder than guys do, right?
Yeah.
And if she gets her serves in, Ryan, I think they're going to be unstoppable. She has a tendency to hit it long, but she drills this thing and it goes about 75% of the distance, and then it just drops off the face of the earth. Yeah. It's a heck of a serve. If she can get her serves in, I don't think anybody's stopping them. They like we said, that this is their fourth season making it to the Final Four. And here's the thing, Pitt, I got to ask you this. How the heck do you recruit such good players in the field house?
Yeah, right.
They play in the field house. Now, they were at the AJ Palumbo Center yesterday, but most of their games are in the field house.
Yeah, it's just their reputation right now. They're playing good volleyball, so they're able to recruit people that are good volleyball players, women across the country in high school. They know that, and the best ones right now are going to our school. So I say we enjoy this, and hopefully they could win a national championship. Here's my thing: do you celebrate a college women's volleyball championship the same way that you would celebrate one of your four major sports winning a championship? You go out and you buy a T-shirt, you buy a hat. You talk about it amongst people at the water cooler. I don't know, because I'm really into the volleyball. But again, when was the last time any of our Pitt teams won any kind of notable championships?
Two things real quick. Ben Roethlisberger attends all the games. He was there yesterday. And the other thing is, if LeBron James could celebrate the in-season NBA championship last year, then these women can most certainly celebrate the national championship like it was the football team.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I dig them. As I said, I have no problem celebrating for them, and I have no problem giving them that. But just in general around the city, I know your Pitt people are. Your Pitt fans are pretty strong fans, but just in general in Pittsburgh, people that root for their black and their gold, I just don't know how those people are going to respond to let's just say that Pitt wins the national title in volleyball. Again, some people will be all aboard, but other people, they're going to be like, all right, what time's the Steelers play?
Right. Well, speaking of the Steelers, let's get back into some football. Before we go over the game today in more detail, which I'm sure we will over the next 20-some minutes, what's going on around the league? Like, who do the Ravens play? Who do the Bills play? The teams, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Chiefs. Those are the three teams I'm kind of curious what they're doing as well, especially at the 1 o'clock hour when we're not going to be playing.
Well, you get the Ravens, who come back off a bye. We were able to pick up that half game on them last week because they were off, and we did manage to win. But they come back today, and they take on the New York Giants, possibly the worst team.
So they have 2 byes in a row.
Basically got 2 byes in a row. But, we'll just leave it at that. The Chiefs, they play – get this, they play the Cleveland Browns. Now, this is a game that I've been talking about as a possible trap game for the Chiefs, and I still think that. I really do. I think that, as you've seen, the Browns, they beat the Ravens earlier this year. The Browns, they beat the Steelers earlier this year. Kansas City's a team that's just kind of getting by right now. It's in Cleveland. Kansas City might be due for a loss, and I think that the Cleveland Browns, they just hold that trap game kind of aura to them. They always have been to me. They're never a good team. But again, I brought it up on our show the other day, back whenever the Patriots were winning every year. There was a couple years in a row that the Browns were the only team that was beating the Patriots. So, again, I look for – I would love to see, but I look for a trap game today, the Chiefs at the Browns. The other big game that you're talking about, of course, Bryan, happens at the same exact time that we play. That is the, if I could find it here, that is the Buffalo Bills. And I know I have it somewhere.
It's so weird to talk about the Bills being a dominant team.
I know. In the Detroit Lions, Bryan, at the exact
That's right.
same hour that we start, at the same exact time, 4:25, the Bills at the Lions. A lot of good games this week, just overall. But as you said, these teams that that we have involvement with, a lot of good games. Again, the Bills at the Lions. We play the Eagles. The two teams that are fighting for wild card spots that need to lose in order for us to get in. Again, if we lose and these two teams lose or tie today, we get into the playoffs. That would be the Indianapolis Colts, who travel to Mile High City to take on the Denver Broncos, who are currently sitting in a playoff spot. And the other team, I believe, is the Miami Dolphins, and they go to Houston. So both of those teams that we need to lose to maybe get a little bit of a hand are both going to teams that are currently sitting in the playoffs. Again, Miami's going to Houston, and the Colts are going to Denver. So their opponents are both in the playoffs as we speak, and they're going to both of those cities. So they're on the road against those teams. So, I mean, we have a few things going. Let's just say the Steelers trip up today, but you get a loss by those two teams. We still make the playoffs, and then we look forward to next week to try to shut out the Ravens and win the division. So there's a bunch of good football on today. And that's just concerning us. If you go around the league and look at all the other playoff implications that are also happening, there's a lot going on around the league.
Yeah. Now, our last 4 playoff games, how many of them have been at home?
I don't think any.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to get a home game at least the first round, and hopefully see what are we looking at to, like Denver, Baltimore.
Denver Chargers or the Denver Chargers or the Ravens, I think, are all behind us.
Boy, those are all good teams.
And Houston. Well, we won't play. Yeah, we won't play.
We won't play Houston, right?
And we
unless we're in the wild card.
Right. We'd either get one of them last few wild card spots, which would be either Baltimore, the Chargers, or the Broncos.
All right. So,
which are the 3 teams that we beat already? Those 3 teams, we beat all 3 of them this season.
Yeah,
so
just don't give us the Cowboys, the Browns, or the Colts.
Exactly. Don't give us anybody under 500. And you know what? Going into the playoffs, we should be okay then, right?
Right. So today's game, we talked about the wide receivers. We talked about shutting down Barkley. What about the Eagles' front 7 and what our offensive line has to do, especially the interior young guys?
Listen, it's nothing we can't handle, because I'm going to be honest with you. What the Cleveland Browns have on their table as far as a defense goes, as far as their front 7, as far as filling that box, I think it's similar. I of course think that the Eagles, they are better, but you remember when we played the Browns and Myles Garrett was in the backfield? I think he sacked our quarterback 3 times in the first quarter, first half, whatever it was. I think those kind of that's a potential to happen. You have a Jalen Carter, a couple guys like this in the Philadelphia Eagles defense. But what did the Steelers do that game that I thought they did really well? They adjusted, they revised, they went into halftime, and they made the adjustments they need to make. If it's a little rocky early, which I expect it to be, again, this is a young makeshift offensive line. Some of these guys don't belong on a starting offensive line in the NFL, yet they've been managing ways to get it done. If they can, go in that same path that they did with the Browns, I think we'll be able to hold up this defense. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a very difficult challenge with the McCormicks, who's just a rookie out of a college that's not Georgia or Ohio State or somewhere like this. This guy shouldn't be on the field this year. With injuries, there's guys in our lineup that shouldn't be on the field. But you know what? Again, we've weathered that storm all the way to this point, and that's it. That's just another one of the things that it's going to come down to, is how we could weather that storm.
It's funny that you say weather that storm, because I just looked up the weather, because I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been a total crap day here. And I was looking across the state of Pennsylvania, and I was like, oh, I see snow. And I'm like, this is great. Give us some bad weather. I'll take the bad weather. And as the hours progress, from to 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, like all the weather just goes north of Philadelphia. So
Really?
I don't, yeah, so I don't think there's gonna be any rain or snow going on during the game.
Yeah, you know what? Another thing, Brian, just kind of off the subject. After we get done with these next two games, Philadelphia and Baltimore, over in that region of the country, the last two games are at home. So, you got Kansas City and then the Bengals. The Bengals already a team that we beat, and a team that, like I said, Kansas City, they certainly look like they're due for a loss. Whether it happens between now and Christmas Day, I don't know. But, finishing out the season with two at home, possibly going a third week in a row if we get that home game, that's again, this is laying out in favor of the Steelers the way a lot of this is going, Brian. Again, these next three games, treat it like it's the playoffs, get your mind right, and then you have three home games after that, two to finish out the season and one hopefully to start the playoffs. I mean, for what it is, we're putting ourselves in a pretty good position for a playoff run.
I agree. And I mean, I can't even remember where were you the last time we won a playoff game?
I think it was a Kansas City game.
It was Alex Smith was the quarterback. I don't think Mahomes was on the team yet.
I think no, he wasn't. I think I actually worked overnight at the time, and for some reason I remember watching that game and going straight to work. Maybe it was a 4 o'clock game. I don't really recall, but I do remember. I remember the day. I remember where I was at.
Yeah, usually you remember where you're at during tragedies. So
right,
that Browns game, good Lord, what a slacking. All right, so the offensive line needs to do their thing against their defensive line. The wide receivers need to step up. Pat Freiermuth needs to step up. Do we see Najee Harris go off for a game, or Jaylen Warren say go for 125 yards on 10 carries?
No. I don't think you're going to see that kind of production. I think you might get a combined 100 yards between the two of them, 53 yards for Najee, 47 for Warren, something like this. That seems to be, what happens a lot of times when we do get into these tough kind of games. I think if you go back and look at the Baltimore game and, a couple other tough ones, that's how it played out. And I'm fine with that. I just don't think either one of these guys are going to go off. They're both really good. And again, don't get me wrong. I am one of the top advocates for Najee Harris. I think he's one of the better running backs in the league where he doesn't get that credit. But at the end of the day, this is the Baltimore game. Do you expect to go into a Baltimore game and your Najee Harris have 100 yards? I really don't. Do you expect to go into a Baltimore game and have your quarterback throw for 4? I really don't. The fact of the matter is, it's going to be, again, as I mentioned, I hate to keep using the term, it's going to be a Steeler-Raven type game. These are two tough-ass teams. They're going to be going head-to-head. It's a battle of Pennsylvania. There's a lot of pride on the line. The fans are going to be crazy. You have to go out there and play this game as you were going to play the Baltimore Ravens. I think that it's going to be, a lot of tough defense. It's going to be grinding it out on the ground. And it's probably going to be the big play that separates these two teams at the end of the day. And unfortunately, they have a lot of big playmakers. But we have Russell Wilson. And, again, everything he's done so far has turned to gold.
Well, let's just talk about Philadelphia and just the city in general, I guess. They were such a bad capital that we had to move the capital from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. I mean, Boys to Men's probably like their claim to fame.
Will Smith.
Their best athlete, their best athlete's Rocky, and that was a movie. It's
right.
I mean, and then you have Will Smith going up and slapping Chris Rock.
Right.
I mean, basically, here's the other thing. They ran Terry Francona out of town.
Who does that? All he does is win.
Yeah, two World Series later, two Manager of the Years later, and but where's he at now? The Reds.
Good work. They're like Cleveland East. Philadelphia is,
Just what a. I mean, what do they have? The cheesesteak. That's they have the cheesesteak of Boys to Men. Those are their two claims to fame. I mean, let's just go in there and just wax them. I don't see it. And when we make the predictions, I mean, I know where you're leaning. I know where I'm leaning, but I'd just love to go in there and just like blow them out.
Oh, would that be fantastic?
Go have like 3 turnovers in the first quarter and just blow them out.
Just like we did back in 2004. This team was undefeated. I remember we beat them and the Patriots. They were 0-5. And then the following week, we beat the Patriots, they were 5-0. The following week, we beat the Patriots, who was 6-0 at that point. And we went out there and we held them to, I think, a field goal or 6 points in that game. We had Deuce Staley in the backfield. And we went out there and we whooped their ass. So I mean, that's you would love to see that kind of game. But again, I think this is going to be very similar to a Baltimore Ravens Steeler game. My one concern is this, and there doesn't seem to be, at least I haven't seen anybody figure out how to stop this tush push. And I know I brought this up on your show
Yeah.
last week, and I know I brought this up on our show the other day. You know, it's the end of the game. We're up by a couple points. They're inside the 5-yard line with about 10 seconds left in the game, and you know they're going to do the tush push. They line up to do the tush push. You put all your people in the right places. Is there any way to stop that tush push?
If the coach called the play and I had to push a tush, I would be one of those guys that's just like, I'm not going in, coach.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not
He
pushing
could do that.
tushes. What,
Yeah,
like, it's like they want it to be rugby at that point,
right.
which football, I like the sport of rugby, and don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot to be said for those guys, but why would you want to go from the forward pass? Like that's the big thing about the NFL is the forward pass
Right.
to going like reverting back to rugby rules. That can't be a legal play.
I mean, we know why Philadelphia loves it. It works, but I get I get what you're saying, and I even seen somebody else who did it last week. Another team was doing it. They just called it something different, but for whatever reason, that seems to work. And there has to be a way. There has to be a way to counter it. There's a counter reaction to everything, right? But I don't know what it is. Obviously, 31 other teams around the NFL don't know what it is, but there's got to be something. And is it going to be a Landon Roberts jumping over the line and hitting the guy, hitting Hurts as he's about to? Who knows? It's a very difficult thing to stop. And as I said, it's going to be pretty disheartening at the end of the fourth quarter if this is what we have to stop in order to win or lose the football game.
Yeah, there's only two guys I know that can stop that play. One is Troy Polamalu, who has since been retired, and Orlando Roberts.
Yeah,
I think he can stop
he has
that play, and I think he needs to, and I think he needs to shut it down more than once.
I think that these linebackers come in huge today. The Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers have to have a day, inside, outside, backup. Everybody that has a linebacker in their job description, I believe they have to step it up today. Everybody does. This is a top-notch game. This is a playoff game. This is a game that as you get ready for the Chiefs, as you play the Ravens, this game fits right in there. It's no different. And again, how big would it be for the psyche of this team and the coach and the players and the fans to walk out of Philadelphia this evening with a win? I think that's huge. I think that catapults them to a whole nother caliber of football. And just up here alone, not even including what everybody's going to start saying about them if they do go out and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, I think that this will be so big for them. Bryan, this game is huge. It is huge. And again, at the end of the day, if you lose, you go on to next week and you got another huge game. But for the things that it could do well, for the things that could be positive for us, it's such a huge game. But if we lose, I don't think we lose that much ground. It'll be what it is. We lose that one, we lose today, depending on what Baltimore does against the Giants, which they'll probably win. We'll lose that one game buffer zone. We got them next. But again, this is big if we win. But if we lose, I don't think it's as big if we lose. It's an NFC team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've got to beat the Ravens. If you beat the Ravens, you've sealed up the division. And if you beat the Chiefs, that's bonus. That helps you against the Bills and the Chiefs as far as the 1 and 2 seeds. And you got to take care of business against the Bengals. So this is probably the least important of the 4 games. We are where are we at here? We got about 11 minutes left. That's about the point in the game when the Steelers play that silly Renegade song.
Yeah.
We just punted and we need a big defensive stop. So on your show, Ryan, and it's one of my favorite parts of your show, be sure to check out the Two Dumb Yinzers from 11 a.m. till noon every Monday through Friday here on YouTube. Make sure you check them out. Ryan, Mike, Jeff, Derpy. It's a great crew. They do a fantastic job. They have a cult following. It's fantastic. At the end of the show, Ryan does. Okay, everybody, and it's very Howard Stern like. Ryan does.
I wear
But
assless chaps and I run around the studio.
yes, yes. Okay, we are going to throw Jello at Derpy. Now, you do a trivia question.
Yeah.
And last night I was watching a YouTube video, and if this YouTube video is accurate, I want to have a trivia question for you. Are
Okay.
you able to play that?
Absolutely. Let's do it, man.
Okay. Now this is like a 5-part trivia question, so no pressure.
All
Okay.
right. No
All right.
pressure.
So trivia question number 1.
Okay.
It's 2 parts. What quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? What quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers has the longest rush for a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? And part 2, how long is it? What quarterback for the Steelers has the longest rush and how long is it? And I think these are both easy answers. Knowing the answers, it's very easy to
Is
me.
it Cordell Stewart?
Yes.
80
Okay.
yards?
Yes. Because, you start on the 20 a lot, so that makes sense, right?
Right. I remember the play.
Okay.
I think it was against Carolina.
Okay.
I think.
Now, question number 2. 3 parts.
Okay.
What quarterback has the longest rush against what team and how long was the rush? What quarterback has the longest rush for a quarterback in NFL history? How long was the rush and against what team? Oh, and there's a bonus question too after that if you get that all right.
Which quarterback has the longest rush in NFL history? And it's against what team you're asking?
Yes. How long's the rush? Who do they play against? And what's the quarterback's name? And then there's going to be a bonus question on what team did he play for?
Which quarterback has the longest rush
in
history? Which team was it against and which team was it for?
And how long was it?
Oh, man.
Right. I mean, I kind of figured you'd probably get the first question right.
Is it? It's not Lamar.
It is not Lamar. He was in the top 10 though.
Michael Vick.
Yeah. Here's a funny thing. Michael Vick was not one of the top 10. I thought for sure it was gonna be Michael Vick number 1. Yeah, that was gonna be a clue if you asked for Cam Newton was in the top 10. These are all very good guesses.
Man, who could a number 1 be then? Not Cordell.
No, Cordell's 80 was his longest. It was much longer than 80. It was less than 100. Another clue.
Oh, yeah, that one's a huge help. I thought that I was thinking about the 200-yard play, but
all right, I'll give you the distance. It was 93 yards.
I was thinking somewhere 92, 93 yards. Yes. I just can't think of who that was. It's not Daniel Jones, is it?
Daniel Jones was up there, but he was not number 1. I'll tell you what, you're getting so far you have 7 of the top 10 guys. So you're doing. I'll give you you've passed the test already.
Yeah. I don't recall. I mean, like you said, I'm probably gonna hear him kick myself.
It was against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was, you know what? I didn't get to that part, but I was gonna say it was against the Steelers. Just by the way you were asking the question, that would have been that answer. But go ahead.
Which is why I brought all this up. The quarterback
hold on,
played
now let me
for
think.
the. Okay, I was going to give you the team
with that. Cunningham.
Oh no, he was not on the top 10. I'm a Cunningham fan. Okay, he played for the Raiders. I'm not going to say if it was the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not going to say if it's the LA Raiders, and I'm not going to say if it was the Oakland Raiders. But he played for the Raiders. The Raiders.
The longest play in NFL history, longest run by a quarterback was a Raider. It was against the Steelers, and it was for 93 yards.
Yes.
It wasn't, what's her face? It wasn't Terrell Pryor.
It was.
What? Terrell
Yeah,
Pryor had the longest run. Wow, I didn't know that. I guess I
and
did at
against the
some point.
Steelers. Yeah, like I was like, I've got to ask this question. I was just like, Terrell Pryor. I don't even remember him playing for the Raiders very long.
You're right.
Yes,
Wow,
93
that's a
yards
good
against
one.
the Steelers. Terrell Pryor.
You know
Yes.
what doesn't surprise me? The kid was always a beast when he played at Jeanette. I mean, I remember back-to-back years. They had, I mean, back-to-back games one year in the playoffs. They had faced Beaver Falls and Aliquippa, who generally are two of the top teams, certainly from the Whippeal. And he put up 70 points and 68 points against those two teams in back-to-back weeks in the playoffs when he was a senior at Jeanette. 68 points against Aliquippa, 70 points against Beaver Falls en route to the championship. But the guy is amazing, and that does not surprise me one bit.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I did get to see him play his senior year. It wasn't football though. I went to see him play basketball. It was the Whippeal playoffs. It was in Hempfield
Okay.
out in Westmoreland County. They played Sarah Catholic.
Okay.
Ryan, it looked like did you ever watch like coaches pitch in like baseball? You know,
Yes.
like there's like the 6'2" dad throwing to like
Yes.
these kids that can't even like pull their pants up. That's what it looked like. He was a man playing against like little like 5-year-olds.
And that's how he was against Quip and Beaver Falls, which is crazy. Nobody dwarfs them guys like that. Dude, it was unbelievable. I thought this guy's finally going to get shown the biz. He goes and he puts up 70 and 68 in back-to-back weeks against those two teams. At that point, I knew the guy was going pro without, yeah, no questions asked. No questions
Right.
asked.
I mean, he made a bad choice of where he went to college, but
Yeah,
we all can't be perfect, right?
right, right.
All right. Well, back to it. We've got a few more minutes left here, Ryan. I say we get into maybe some predictions on the game.
All right, I
Uh,
can do
a-
this.
a- and and here's the thing. I have to work next Saturday all day, so I'm not going to be able to do a show. I don't know if you and Mike are going to do something before the game or not. But uh, then the next game after that is on Christmas, so I'm not going to be doing a show before
Okay.
that game. So I won't be back till the Bengals game. Love to have you back there, and then definitely we're going to do something before the for the
Oh, the
playoffs,
playoffs,
the playoff games.
absolutely.
But so seeing that we're not going to be here the next 2 weeks, or at least I'm not going to be here, let's make some predictions not only on this game but the
Okay.
next 2 games after that.
Now, brown cow. Uh, Now I'm awfully optimistic. You know that, and I say that the Steelers are going to win. But for my prediction, I say Philadelphia 27, Pittsburgh 20. That's my prediction. But I feel that the Steelers are going to win. Just covering my ass on both sides, basically, is what I'm going to do. But
So
27-20
they're going to tie,
Philadelphia.
and you'll be wrong twice.
Right. So that's
Okay.
my just for the case of the show. I feel we're going to win, but again, there's just when I thought through the game and thought of everything and all the situations, and 27-20 is what I came up with for Philadelphia. But I hope I'm wrong.
Okay. I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles 34, the Pittsburgh Steelers 17, and I think it's going to be like 34-10, and the Steelers are going to get a cheap touchdown.
That's
Just
kind of where I was at too. I was like 27-13, and we or 27. I had us scoring a touchdown late to make it closer than it.
all right. I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope it's the complete opposite. But all right, then we go down to Baltimore. Which let me just tell you, I went to Baltimore for a conference one time,
I'm sorry.
and we're driving in, and we were probably 22, 23. So we're like, we got to get beer, right? So we stop at this beer distributor, okay, and there's like the jail bars where
Yeah,
the
I've been to
register
one.
is, okay,
I've been to
right?
one of those.
Right? Somebody's in the cars running, right? There's me and my
Yeah,
buddy, but Dan was with me, and we go inside, we're getting our beers, and like they looked at us like we were like aliens. Like, what are you two doing here in this neighborhood? And we're like, dude, we're
right.
just getting beer. And they're like, get out of here as fast as possible. And then you get down to the Inner Harbor, which there was like the ESPN zone was there, and like the Inner Harbor is like beautiful. It's
Right.
absolutely beautiful. But yeah, driving in, not so beautiful. So moving down there, what's your prediction for next Saturday's game?
You know what? It's going to be extremely difficult because we beat them 8 over the last 9 times. I mean, if that wasn't the case, if this isn't the case of somebody being due, if these two games right here isn't the cases of a team being due, one team not being able to beat a team in their city since 1965, the other one a team that beat a team 8 of the last 9 times. if this isn't the biggest cases of teams that are due, um, I think that Baltimore's probably due, but I'm gonna stay with the Steelers. Of course, it's gonna be hard to beat a team 9 out of 10 times, a division rival, basically a team that plays they outperformed us many times over the past few years. It doesn't show in the head-to-heads, but you know what? These teams they get into this team gets into the playoffs with a higher seeding than we do. I really feel that we are due to lose this one, but I'm gonna say Baltimore wins next week. I mean Pittsburgh wins in Baltimore. Again, it's going to be what it is. It's going to be 24-20. It's going to be close, low scoring, and ugly, just as every Pittsburgh Steelers Raven game has ever been in the history of the series. So, both of these games, I feel that there's a lot of this team is due. But just for the sake of the picks, I'm picking the Steelers next week, 24-20.
All right, that was good stuff. I'm very entertaining. I'm going to make 3 predictions for this game.
Okay.
The score: the Steelers win 23-21.
Okay.
It's just one of those ones that there's the Ravens are driving on the last play, and we're on the edge of our seat. Can we stop them? And we do. But the next prediction is Tucker's going to miss 2 more field goal attempts. And the third prediction is Lamar Jackson goes out with a season-ending injury.
All very good possibilities. All things that we've seen pretty much every time we play them. You know what, Tucker? I think he's going to get back into his zone. He did fall off, but he'll be a team to come into the playoffs and win 2 playoff games in a row off his toe. The guy's been a true baller his whole career. He's had a tough run this year. But I could totally see Lamar going down for the rest of the season, which would be great because it would just deflate and deplete everything that the fans in Baltimore, they hope and wish for. But yeah, I say Pittsburgh 24-20 in that game. And then the following game, Bryan, Kansas City, I say we win. We win this game in Kansas City or against Kansas City.
So you're predicting a win.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who the referee crew is yet for that game?
We don't. I guess that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off my prediction on that
Right.
until I know the referee crew, because there's a certain crew that just likes to go around with Mahomes and make sure he gets those 3-point or less wins. So yeah, I'm going to hold off on that. I'll probably make that on Wednesday's show on Beaver County Radio 99.3. You can check that out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live, Beaver County Radio YouTube, or One Man's Opinion on Sports YouTube. Hopefully we're going to have that on there. I've been promised that for this week, 4:00 on Wednesday. Check Ryan and I out on Beaver County Radio there. I don't know, Ryan, anything else before we wrap this thing up? I have one question for you.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know. It's very fictitious.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's the right word, but if you had to go into a fight,
Mm-hmm.
right, and like you're going against some like really tough guys, and you had the option to pick either John Denver as your help, as your backup, or the band Styx, who are you taking into battle with you?
Well, I'm going to take Styx just because there's more of them. And 2, isn't John Denver dead? I don't want the dead guy on my side.
I don't know. That's a good thing. A couple shows ago on the Two Dumb Yinzers, Ryan was talking about what was Denver was playing.
Yeah,
John Denver song about West Virginia.
Yeah, that
confused me.
That was their rally song, as the Styx Renegade is for us. Bryan, my thing is this. Who makes me laugh? This thoroughly makes me laugh. On social media, let's just talk about Facebook, for example. If you see something tragic or somebody who has bad news or somebody's even excited about something in our life, it could be any kind of news, and then you get to the bottom and you always see that one laughy face. You know how people like and people heart and people they on comments. There's always that one person that hits the laughy face, no matter how dire the situation was or how great the situation was for somebody. Maybe they just won a bowling tournament. No matter what, there's always that one guy that's got to put the laughy face to kind of, I don't know, to kind of discredit what the person's saying. You know what?
Yes, that's what it means. It's like
Yeah,
whatever you're saying is totally discredited.
that is it's become one of my favorite things on social media. I don't know why I get a kick of that every time I see it. It's just because that's what it is. It's somebody being a dick, and it just makes me laugh. I seen yeah, somebody put I can't even think of an example off the top of my head. Maybe, I put a bunch of money into a Bitcoin and I'm looking to, maybe make some money. And there's always a face down there at the bottom. Somebody's laughing their ass off. I don't know why that's it's an asshole move, but it makes me chuckle every time. I don't do it. Don't get me wrong. But every time I do see that laughing face at somebody's situation, whatever it may be, I always do get a chuckle out of that.
I will say that when the Two Dumb Yinders makes a post
Mm-hmm.
and it's, something about maybe TJ Watt or something, and obviously I disagree. Right. That is going to be my response because I know it's not you responding to me. I know it's Mike, right?
Yeah,
no. It might as well just say Mike, but it says the Two Dumb Yinders,
right?
And I know it's Mike, and I'm just going to give him the laughing face from now on.
Just do the laughing face. I got to tell you, because you know what? Like if somebody's like saying something serious, you're like I don't know. It's funny to me. It's funny to me every time I see it. I find myself chuckling. Back, a couple years back, whenever people started doing it, I used to think, oh, what a dick. But now it's just kind of became entertaining, and I dig it. I don't know. It's funny.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I joined X, One Man's Opinion on Sports over on X. And I was like, okay, well, I heard that Elon Musk in the future is going to compete with YouTube. And so if I can get a bunch of followers on X, then whenever I post my videos to YouTube, I can just post them to X as well. And I would already have like a, base. And so I go over there and I interact with 80% of my interaction is with the Pittsburgh radio hosts around. Paul Zeiss is great. John Steigerwald's great. But then you have like these oafs like Andrew Filipponi and Goose. And he's always saying something stupid. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, tell me more about Kenny Pickett like you did. You talked to him about it for a summer before he went and stunk. And the response from guys, let me just tell you, if I just voice my opinion, like somebody will always respond like, you should die.
I know. You know what? I have to wonder to myself, Brian. I mean, we do this here in Pittsburgh, right in the heart of Steel City. It makes you wonder: is it brutal like that everywhere? I mean, if you went out to Arizona and did a show about the Arizona sports teams, would people jump on you the same way? I mean, people are very involved here. Whether their opinion is correct, whether it's incorrect, whether it's out of this world, you're always going to get some kind of argument, some kind of disagreement, and again, I often wonder, you would get it in some places, of course. I'm sure the New York's probably rough places, I guess. But, I couldn't imagine being in a place talking about sports and not having anybody disagree and not having anybody kind of giving you that smart ass answer. It's just it's Pittsburgh. We kind of got used to it,
Yeah, you just have to take it with a grain of salt over there. And
absolutely.
I don't know if they have a laughing face emoji I could just attach to all this. But here's the thing, too. I'll click on the people that are like, just die. You don't know what you're talking. And it's like, what do you like? This mom? Like, I didn't. It wasn't even mean. It was just like my opinion, right? And if you go and you can see how many people they're following and how many people are following them, and 99% of the comments like die or you shouldn't even be born or your mom should have aborted you or whatever comments they give you. They always have like less than like 200 followers. And so they just must go around and that's just the way trolls. They are.
Yeah. They're trolls. They're everywhere. I mean, that's the way I look at it too. You got to just take it with a grain of salt and do what you do, man. I mean, at the end of the day, give us your opinion as well. Don't just sit there and shit on somebody because they gave an opinion and wish them death. Give us your opinion. Let's see how smart you are. That just tells me at the end of the day, it's a troll being a troll. And, that is what it is.
Yeah. Give me your counter argument.
Right.
Just like, and whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, I posted on Facebook, I posted that picture of the guy with a crowd around him saying, you're all wrong. Yeah. And I was like, this is how I feel whenever I say anything negative about TJ Watt, because I know what the backlash is going to be. Like I talked about Le'Veon Bell and I talked about Antonio Brown being cancers and they need to go for years. And Steelers fans condemn me. They're like, oh my God, he's the best running back. Oh my God, he's the best wide receiver. And I'm like, yeah, they're jerks. And then 2-3 years later, they're all agreeing with me, which I don't think people 2-3 years from now are going to agree with me on TJ Watt, but I at least know what I'm up against. And my opinion is my opinion. And it's based on what I see and by the facts that I see.
That's it, man.
And I'm not going to back down. And it's really tough around here, but
It would make it easier if these people again would have an argument, if they would have a counter to what you're saying. They just don't, and again, that's at the end of the day, you got to look at that and be like, this is all this is. It's just a troll being an asshole. And,
But it also reminded me, and this is a little off topic here, but I know we are in the extra innings here, the overtime, which is fine. We could go on forever, but I do have to get to work here, and I'm sure you have things to get to. But back during COVID, when Giant Eagles telling me that they're going to save my life by me walking a certain direction in a certain aisle, like I got to speak up and just say, like, this is absolutely completely ridiculous,
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. That might be a different show for another day, but I got to tell you, I couldn't agree with you any more on that.
Yeah, I remember because I would go into Giant Eagle because I banked at Citizens Bank.
Yeah.
And you had to have an appointment at the Citizens banks that were located like individually, right?
Yeah.
But
right.
at Giant Eagle, you could just go into any. They are open, right? So
and they were open 7 days a week too, if I'm not mistaken.
They were. COVID has changed that at one point because whatever they did. But the thing is I could walk from the front door directly to the Citizens, right? And I would probably walk encounter maybe 5 or 6 people, right?
Right.
That I would walk by, and I'd always just steer clear because I didn't wear a mask. But no, I would get screamed at, and they would make me go through the produce aisle, around the fish aisle, down the bread aisle, right? Yeah. And I would encounter like 50 people. I'm like,
right,
this is complete nonsense. And so, so that post that I put up, check it out. It's really great. It's just one person saying you're all wrong. And I put it for what, but I really meant for like, you have an opinion, stick, be proud of it. Don't just go with the mainstream. Don't go with the mainstream.
Absolutely. And like you said,
if you agree with them.
If you have a full explanation as well, I mean, there's no reason that you should just go with the flow. I mean, if you believed entirely and you had reasons and your reasons for it and, about the whole mask thing and COVID, what you do, that's life, pick your battles and stuff you truly believe in, fight your battles. That's how I've always felt, man. And I got to tell you, I agree with you on that. Again, Citizen Bank. I mean, we dealt with it with every single thing that we had to do during that time period. And it was ridiculous. And guess what? Here we are, still alive. So I don't know. Do what you want with that.
Against all their wishes, we're still here.
Against all their wishes, here we are.
Well, I want to make sure that everybody checks out your show tomorrow. Ryan you have a co-host, but Ryan kind of like leads the whole show. I guess you must have notes and you go through almost like a template or,
right.
And you go from point A to point B. So they're going to have all the reactions tomorrow. I know Mike will be there, potentially Finch.
I'm not sure yet. I got to find out.
Derpy usually doesn't join you till Tuesday, but he might join you tomorrow. Who knows? We don't know what's going on with him right now. Hopefully everything's going on with his family's going well. But make sure you check out the Two Dumb Yinzers tomorrow at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Ryan will be there, Mike will be there, and possibly more people. Anything else, Ryan?
No, yeah, join us. We'll be talking about this Philadelphia Eagles game in depth. See what we thought was going to happen, if it happened, what happened, and what's going to happen next. We'll be talking about all that kind of stuff and a lot more, as Bryan brought up earlier in the show. We did talk some pit volleyball. So there are some things over this weekend that went down that's going to be a great conversation. But yeah, do join us tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m.
All right. Anything else about the game before we get going, Ryan?
No, let's go Steelers. I'm ready for this. We got 4 hours and 4 minutes and counting. I'm ready to go. So let's get this win, Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I got to do some work for about 4 hours or so in the rain. So I'll be in the rain. And then I think I'm going to quit right around probably somewhere in the first quarter. And then hopefully I can get home and get showered up and then watch the second half. And I hope it's a blowout. I can't stand the Eagles. And even more importantly, I can't stand the Eagles fans.
Every once in a while you get one of these weird games where everything goes your way. We could sure use one of them. You know what I mean? Like everything goes your way. They come out the first drive and they fumble, and they come out the second drive and 3 and out. Third drive is a pick six. Like you have these games every once in a while. Boy, we're due. I would just love to have one of these games where every ball bounces our way. Man, would that be perfect for a Philadelphia game today?
Well, what a show we had today. I know we went into extra innings here, the fifth quarter. We had a halftime show with the Pitt volleyball and everything. This is a good
Yes.
show, Ryan.
It
I
was.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
you for having me, man. I always enjoy working with you, man. And of course, I will be doing it again on Wednesday on Bryan's show over at WBVP, Beaver County Radio. That's 12:30 a.m. and 93.3 FM. Sorry, that is at 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock on Wednesday. So do check us out, and also it will be on his YouTube page as well. So do check out that show, One
Yeah,
Man's
it's
Opinion on
it's
Sports with Bryan
perfect.
as well.
Wednesday nights, it's perfect because we can kind of recap what happened tomorrow or today, and then we can preview what's going to happen. So it's like the perfect time of the week. We get to look back and look forward, and it's a great show. Ryan's the best producer in the business, so make sure
And
you
so
check
much.
that out.
And his schedule is bang, 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 bang. So it's going to be a lot of Steelers in your face with Bryan's show and ours alike, moving through these next 11 days. Bang, bang, bang games, in playoff implications. So this is going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah,
You join us.
this is the best time. I mean, we have 4 games left and then playoffs, so this is the best time of year if you're a football fan, especially a Steelers fan.
It's the best and the worst because you're excited, but at the other hand, you just know that it's so close to being over for the season. Once you get into playoffs, it's week to week. You want your team to go all the way, but the chances I mean, you look there's 32 teams. Every team wants to win the Super Bowl. It's a difficult thing to do, but it is our favorite time. But it can be very bittersweet at the end, right?
Yeah, if you're a Bills fan, it's always bitter.
It always has been. There's never been a time that it wasn't.
So sad for them. All right, everyone. From Ryan Garazunas, me, Bryan Pasquale, from the Two Dumb Yinzers, from One Man's Opinion on Sports, we appreciate you joining us.